Morning. Welcome to the bridge. It's a great day. This is actually our first episode of the new year. And we're super excited because we have some special guests on our show today. Actually, some students of ours had a chance to host a TEDx probably about a week ago, and it was phenomenal. So I'm going to introduce them. But before I do that, I want to introduce myself along with my co-host. I am Bushan. I have co-hosts Richard and Casey and Jim, who is always here. But never wants to talk. So welcome to the bridge. Let's go ahead and get into introducing our guest today. So our first one is a freshman at Carrollwood Day School. He's been attending since 6th grade. He actually is originally from Evanston, Illinois, but he has also lived in Singapore and Michigan before moving to Tampa in 2021. He participates in cross country and track and field. He also has a 9-year-old brother in 3rd grade. I asked him 3 words to describe himself, and he said reserved, calm, and focused. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Owen Paul. Thank you, sir. Welcome to our show. You can say hello there to the people.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Then I have one more person here on our show. I want you to say your first name again because I just forgot it.
Ion Bedoria.
There you go. That's him. He is our 10th grade, our sophomore here at Carrollwood Day School. He's actually excelling as a straight A student. He plays for the varsity basketball team, and he also holds a leadership position in clubs like HOSA and DECA. He's born and raised in Tampa. He has deep roots in the community. He also has an older brother who's also a sophomore at Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. Who's an inspiration to him both academically and athletically as a fellow basketball player. 3 words to describe. He chose sociable. He also has a sense of humor and strong dedication. And it's good that you strive for excellence in all aspects of life, sir. So thank you and welcome to our show as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So we're super excited for you both. So I'm going to ask the same question to you both. And then once one person answers, you can pass the mic and then the other person can answer, okay? So we'll start with Mr. Owen Paul first. And first off, were you nervous doing the TEDx talk?
Oh, yeah. You mean like while I was doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of numbing. I was just kind of looking out on the stage, and it was all these bright lights shining from overhead, and I could just see this sea of people in the first few rows just looking at me, and it was kind of crazy to have that kind of attention on me.
Yes.
So, yeah, for sure, I was definitely nervous, but at the same time, I was also a little numb. I was just going off of rote memorization. It was all just the rehearsals and the hours of practice I'd put into the speech that was just going through my mind and out my mouth. So definitely nervous, yeah.
Got it. How about you, Mr. Bedore?
Yeah, I would say I was nervous. My speech had some comedy in it, so it was important that comedy hit. Yeah. And I feel if it didn't hit, it would mess up the entire speech.
Yeah, it's lucky that it hit, man.
Yeah,
lucky
definitely.
That it hit.
But it was a little nervous. Like you said, the lights, it was a lot brighter, I guess, when we got on the stage when we practiced.
Yeah.
But you did have to, I relied quite a bit on my memory and then just feeling it out. Because I feel like you get nervous when you get out there the first 30 seconds to a minute when you're introducing yourself.
Yeah.
But then when you get deeper into your speech, it feels like you're just rolling and you're literally just practicing. Because we actually got access to the stage before, so we did practice. And I feel like what was the most nervous part was probably waiting for your name to get called more than getting on stage and actually doing it.
Yeah.
Because, when you're waiting, you're going through your speech. You're like, oh, what if I forget? What if? But then you have to realize you can't live off what if scenarios. You just have to go and do it. And then I feel like when you start out there, it's memory.
That's awesome.
Practice.
Mr. Paul, can you tell me what inspired you to participate in the TEDx talk? And how did you choose your topic?
So, yeah, I first heard about the opportunity to do a TEDx, I think, one of the last days of 8th grade, so the year before this. And I just thought it was a super interesting opportunity because, I watched a lot of TED Talks in the past few years leading up to that. And I've always wondered, how would it feel to be on that stage and be sharing those ideas that you have? And when it came up, I thought it was, this is completely new. This is a new experience. I thought it would be super valuable to have. And instantly, I kind of knew the idea that I wanted to do. For a while, I think a lot of people can relate to this, students especially feeling pressured by college decisions or parents into doing, packing their schedules with all this stuff. And then it kind of connected for me, this really great opportunity and this idea that I had experience with, and I knew a lot of people that also had experience with. So that kind of synergy kind of inspired me to do the TED Talk itself.
Nice. How about you?
Yeah, so I actually enjoy watching TED Talks, like the actual TED Talks, not TEDx Talks, on their YouTube channel. So when I heard about the opportunity, it was one of the last days that I could do it, and I was like, oh, I have to try it out. And I'm an athlete, right? So I enjoy, like, sleeping, obviously. Like, I enjoy working out. And finding that balance between school, academics, and athletics, it all actually comes back to sleep. So that's what was my TED Talk about. It was about the importance of sleep. And I thought that, like, it would be perfect for me to talk about it because it's something I truly, like, I worked on myself. Like, because in ninth grade, I wasn't getting as much sleep as I should, and I was still going to practice, still going to school, and it was pushing myself to the limit.
Yeah.
And I realized that not pushing yourself you can still push yourself to the limit, but you can do it with better sleep, and you'll be more energized, do the activities that you do when you sleep. So it was like a kind of a click moment when I found out about the opportunity, and I realized about what can I talk about, what are the kind of things that go on. And something that inspired me was my lack of sleep and how I got better at it. I just shared my experience through the speech and through some analogies in there, so
nice.
It was nice.
Let me ask my co-host real quick how you feel about the balance of sleep.
I feel like I've been deprived for a long time, so I'm just used to it now.
I'm the wrong one to ask. I have a newborn.
Yeah,
so
my brother Richard here,
sleep is
he
non-existent.
doesn't even know what sleep is anymore. We have another guest who showed up here for us.
A little late.
Miss Alice Sutton. Let me introduce her real quick. She's a junior at CDS. She's been a student here since her freshman year. She's a lifelong resident of Tampa. Alice has deep roots in the community. She has an older sister, 3 years her senior, who is currently pursuing a nursing degree at the University of Virginia. Alice is known for her ambition, compassion, and determination. She is driven to succeed and make a positive impact in everything she does. So welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for showing up here. These are the questions that I asked your fellow peers here so far. I asked them what motivated them to do the TEDx and how did they choose their topic. So if you can answer that for us real quick.
I think in part it was because I had started for HOSA. I had to give a speech for one of the events, and I had gotten really into it and inspired from it, and I really wanted to continue pursuing the avenue of doing an eating disorder screening. And so when the TEDx opportunity came up, I was really excited to take this as an opportunity to further the speech. So I think that was really the primary.
Can you give us like a brief, just for the listeners to know? Can you give us just a small brief? What it was about?
So the HOSA topic was Dare to Create, and so we had to come up with some new invention that would advance medicine. And so I had come up with an eating disorder screening that pediatricians could provide to their patients that just could detect signs of disorder early on. And so when it came up with the TEDx and what did we want to do, I was like, this is an idea that I would love to bring to people because it's so simple and it's so easy to implement, but we haven't done it yet, and we have screenings for so many other things like hearing and vision and autism, but we don't have one for eating disorders, and I think that would be really important to have.
That's great.
Nice.
And Owen, when you get a chance, I'd like to hear a briefing on yours as well so the listeners can know what yours was about. Sorry, Rachel.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so my talk is about how students can sort of enjoy their lives while still dealing with the pressures that, these college admissions, acceptance rates and whatnot, and parents put on them. So, for example, for about a year in 8th grade, so for the whole of 8th grade, I found myself in a situation where a lot of the times I was just, packing on these activities and commitments to my schedule in hopes that maybe they will, make my parents happy or look good on a college resume. And this led to me being really fatigued all the time, burned out, and really not not happy, to be honest. And so that's when I realized, maybe this isn't the way to go. Maybe I can still, build a strong resume, but while doing the things I enjoy. And it's sort of that thing of like not wasting your time, because time's limited and you want to spend it doing things you enjoy with the people you enjoy. But at the same time, you can't deny that there are things in the future that you have to prepare for. So that's really what my TED Talk brought awareness to, is the struggle that students have sometimes to find that balance between spending your time in ways that can help build a stronger college resume or make your parents happy, and then also that other side of enjoying your life and doing the things that you like, and building quality relationships.
Nice.
That's great. That's really great.
So quick apology real quick. I said I had asked 2 questions, but I didn't. But Mr. Bedore, you had touched on kind of my second topic when you're talking about balance. And so I was going to ask each one of you, how do you balance your schoolwork when you're preparing for something like a TEDx talk? And Alice or Mr. Paul, if you want to, because I think you said sleep is kind of that kind of touch. I don't know if you have anything else that kind of help you balance this out, but.
No, I definitely do. So, for the TED Talk, I've been experienced through like speaking on stages for a while. I've done competitions like FBLA, HOSA, and DECA, which all consist of giving speeches in front of judges, but never in front of an actual live audience. So one thing that helped me balance was just practicing a bunch, and not necessarily practicing like taking 20 minutes to practice, but like while I'm doing other stuff, like while I'm showering, I would practice. While I was like running up and down the basketball court, I'm thinking of my speech. It's just while I was doing the stuff I normally do, I would practice I would practice my speech. So it was always ingrained in my memory. And I feel that sleep actually did help me quite a bunch, because I feel like I wouldn't stay up too late realizing that like, oh, I have to actually like live by my speech. I can't just tell people and then just not do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I feel like balance is important. My parents helped me a bunch.
Nice.
They were helping me. They were telling me like, you need to balance it with other stuff, because like this early month of January, I had a bunch of competitions. The basketball season was getting restarted. So everything was really busy. And actually the day of the TEDx talk, I had a game. So I went directly from the TEDx talk to the game.
Nice.
And it's just knowing that like you have to focus on one thing at a time, and take advantage of that full like 8 minutes I was on the stage, and then go do whatever I can for the 1 hour at the game.
Nice.
So it's just focusing on one thing at a time,
Yeah.
and then just taking the time to appreciate like the opportunities you have, and not just letting it come to you, and not like taking advantage of like not taking it for granted.
Nice. How about
Yes.
you? How about you, Owen? How did you balance academics and a TEDx talk?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Ian said. It's all about incorporating it into your life where you can. I also think what really helped is that the TEDx sort of group itself had a lot of support systems to help the speakers come up with their ideas, write them, and rehearse them. So Nishant and Ms. McCartney, who organized this whole thing, they set up appointments with our speaker coaches that we were allowed to go to help write our speeches. And afterwards, they also hosted meetings with Mr. Shu, who helped us, edit our speech, and then also helped us with sort of actually speaking our speeches. And they also set up rehearsals and dress rehearsals and everything, so we got the feel of what giving a TED Talk actually looks like. So that preparation was, sort of baked into our schedules through the TEDx group and what Nishant and Miss McCartney organized. That was a really big help.
Did you do your speech in front of your family?
I did not. I did not do my speech in front of my family. Yeah, I feel like, and I said this after the TED Talk too, I feel like if my parents were the only 2 people in the room, I would be 1,000 times more nervous than it was like a completely filled up auditorium. I don't know why. That's just the way I am. But
How about you, Alice? How did you prepare? How did you balance out?
I would agree with what both of they have said. I definitely think like taking, like if you have even 5 minutes at the end of class and just kind of reciting the speech in your head, or even as I'm walking to class or I'm driving, that was the main time that I was practicing, was in those like little moments that I had throughout the day. And I also think that we had so much support. I know like over winter break they were offering for us to come in and they would help and give advice, and so that was really helpful because I don't think everyone, I mean, of course, who has this opportunity is going to have that support, but we did because of how well they organized the event. But then I also think a lot of it was learning about when to stop and take a break for me. And so knowing like at nighttime, like I have a time that it's like, okay, after 9:30, I'm not going to do any more schoolwork. I'm going to put my stuff away. I'm going to take time for myself because I can easily get overworked and then I don't sleep, and it's just, so I think it's really important to take that time for yourself as well.
I think that's awesome, especially being young and being able to incorporate that, because that can easily roll right into your adulthood to where you don't take enough time for yourself. So that's real good to hear.
Time management's really important,
yes.
and you guys seem to have all really utilized that very well.
That's one of the biggest things I hear is like you guys, all of you guys were pretty intentional about setting this time aside. This time is dedicated to this. Or like you said, even when you're on the court, you're still mentally you're focusing on one thing at a time, but you're also kind of ingraining that into your normal life as well. Your speech that you had coming up, so that's pretty good.
Did you read yours in front of your family?
I did, yeah. I think my mom got really tired of hearing it 'cause she probably heard it about like 50,000 times. She was like, as soon as TEDx was over, she's like, I'm so glad I don't have to hear that speech again.
That was my next question. How was your family involved? Owen, you said you didn't read it to your parents. Is that right?
Yeah, so I never did actually read it to my parents, but they knew about the TED Talk the whole entire time. So from day one when I first applied, both my parents knew. And as weird as it may sound in a big way, I think it was very helpful for them not to ask me to read my speech in front of them, because I think that would have just mess with my psyche a lot. And then in the future when I'm giving that speech, I would have just thought about them just sitting there and watching me. That would have really freaked me out, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were a really huge help. Obviously, my mom drive me to and from the rehearsals, and I told them what my idea was, all about it, how I came up with it. And yeah, they never had a bad word to say about it. They were always super supportive. It was like, whatever you need, you need to go to these rehearsals, you need to do this, set up appointments with this person. Yeah, it was just, essential to have them around, actually. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Awesome. So for all of our listeners out here, we're doing this live, so we have a live page. So if you heard that in the background, we are in a school environment, just a FYI. But thank you, Owen, for that. And Ion, let's hear what you have to say there. How did your parents help you or encourage you?
Yeah, I'd say my parents definitely were probably like my whole entire support system. And I guess because like I said, my speech did have some humor. So when I'm reading in front of my parents, it's like, oh, they don't laugh? Okay. Like, just continue going. They're like, oh, that's exactly what they were saying. They're like, if people don't laugh, you have to keep going. You're not going to stop your speech.
That's right.
So, but even then, seeing my mom smile when I was doing my speech, it just helped me keep going during the speech. Yeah. And then I also feel that they were also very diligent about reminding me to do my speech. Because, for example, if I have basketball practice, I have homework, and I have a test the next day, they're like, you have to fit in your speech somewhere, because if you go up there without enough preparation and you mess up, you're going to regret it. And it's not them saying anything bad, but they're saying that I know you, and I know that you're going to want to go in there with not as much preparation and then just try to wing it. But they know that that's not going to, I wouldn't like it. Yeah. So they were definitely helping me plan. They definitely helped me with supporting and telling me when to do what, like he was saying. Obviously as a student, it's basketball or TEDx. Obviously I'm going to choose basketball, right?
Exactly.
So they're yeah. So at practice sometimes I did have to leave early and then head to the TEDx practices with Miss McCartney, Nishant, or Mr. Shu, the speaker coach. So it's helping me manage my time was probably the most important thing they could have done. Because as when I'm young, right now I am, I don't understand the importance of this. And I feel when I grow up, wow, I actually did TED and I prepared well. Absolutely. And I went on the stage, right? It's so they understood the importance of it and they helped me understand the importance of it. So that's something.
Just like the previous TEDx's you've watched yourself, so you're going to make the impact on somebody else one day. Exactly. So good for you guys.
What about you, Alice?
I would definitely, going off of just having that, being really proud of yourself, like what you were talking about, and I think that in the beginning, I remember when this opportunity was proposed, I was super excited about it, but I also was a little bit like, oh, can I handle it? Like, I have a lot on my plate. And I remember my mom telling me, like, think about this. In the future, you will, like, this is an opportunity that you're going to have now, but you're not going to have it again. And to take this opportunity to really, because I've always wanted to be able to give talks. I love speaking, public speaking, and to have this chance for the TED Talk was, like, really amazing. So I'm so glad that I did it, even though it might have added on a couple hours in my day. But in the end, like, it's something I'm going to remember for a really long time.
Good for you.
Very cool.
That's great.
Okay. I was just gonna ask. So I know you mentioned Ion about telling a joke, and that feedback is always gonna make or break the rest of your talk. Was there any, or could each of you kind of describe a moment where you were getting feedback from the audience that helped you or made you think about the rest of your talk as you were in it? Like, was there any moment during your talk that stood out to you where you were looking at the audience and the crowd and it was affecting the rest of your talk?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think there was a lot of nerves inside me, so I kind of blanked out on all of that. But I did try to be present because I knew when I was practicing, my mom's like, you're going way too fast. Like, you were just speeding through this. You need to really be present with the audience, and because they've never heard the speech before. You've heard it a million times. And so really trying to take the moment, like taking breaks within my speaking and really reflecting on, like, I'm standing here, this is what I'm talking about, definitely was really impactful for me, not in the moment, but I think just thinking about it later too, of just having that, being able to do that was really incredible.
Yeah, so I feel like during my speech, it started off like any other speech. Like, obviously, like, I didn't come out, I didn't start with the joke. So I came out and people are smiling because first, like, I was one of the first student speaker. I was the first student speaker. So they were obviously interested to hear my speech. And then one moment I remember is there was this lady in the front of the audience, and I made a joke, and she laughed so hard that it was like, like, that confidence boost was crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then I saw, like, some of my friends in the audience, and they started laughing, they were smiling. And then I saw my old teacher, I saw my mom, everyone was smiling. And then I saw, like, I tried to do this thing where I looked at the middle of each audience. So it's like we have 3 different areas, and I looked at the middle of each, and my friends were in the middle of each. So it helped me, and I was looking at them, they were all smiling, laughing. And then since my speech had a couple different tones where it's like if I was getting factual, it needed to be a little more serious and slowed down. I was looking around, they, like, followed, I guess, my emotions, and it actually matched it pretty well. And I don't want to say it went exactly how I planned it, but it was pretty perfect in my opinion. Like, everything, like, they started laughing, they were slow when I wanted it to be slow, and they were laughing when I wanted them to laugh. So I thought it went well.
Well, that's one of the awesome things, that you were able to read the room and adjust according to, whether the audience was hot or cold, or, what you needed to do on your end to adjust. So that was real good.
Thank you.
Oh, and I do have to ask, your parents did end up going and hearing your speech, correct?
They did not.
Oh.
I
So they didn't hear it
Interesting.
all?
So I actually asked them not to go to the TEDx, which they weren't that mad at because my dad had already had a trip planned out of town on that day, and my brother had an extra out of school activity that my mom had to kind of shuttle him to. But I was quite happy that they didn't come, because if I'd seen them in the audience, that would have
Really messed you up?
Yeah, but no, they've heard it, like, on the live stream and
Good.
in video.
Good. Very nice.
But back to your question, there was one joke in the entirety of my speech, and it was the very first line of it, and I was so scared that no one would laugh at it, that the room would go silent and the joke would fall flat on its face. So actually, the dress rehearsal the day before, when it was dress rehearsal, everyone was giving me all sorts of, like, feedback and tips on my first line, which was the joke. And it was just, I was just so stressed about it. I actually considered, like, the night before taking it out of the speech completely. But I went up there and I delivered the joke, and actually everyone laughed. It was
Let's hear it.
a huge,
Now I got to hear it.
All right, let's see. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. This is a quote from possibly the greatest thinker, leader, and martial artist of our time, Master Oogway. Yeah, it's the tortoise from Kung Fu Panda. that was the joke. I thought no one would laugh. And actually, I got quite a positive audience reaction. So it was a huge confidence boost, and it really helped to carry me through the rest of my speech.
Very nice.
Awesome.
I like that.
Awesome.
That's funny.
So Ion, with your friends who were kind of posted throughout the audience, that was the question I was going to ask next to all of you guys. How did your friends play a role in your preparation? Besides them coming to the show, actually supporting, did you guys have phone calls after school or during school? Did you guys talk to each other about it? And how did they help you prepare or even tailor your speech to what you were going to say?
Ion was too busy sleeping.
Got it. Yes, balancing. He had to balance it out.
No, yeah. So basically, my friends actually helped a lot. It wasn't necessarily them listening to the speech or giving feedback, but it's them understanding that I had a speech and giving me like space to work on it, and like understanding that like how important this was and how important it was to me. So for example, like basketball practice, the basketball team was very supportive. Like every time I had to leave or I had to leave practice early, they're like, "Hey, good luck at the TED Talk. I hope it went well." And even when I came to the game, I came just as the game started. Every single person on the team asked me how to go. They were even mid-game, my friend asked me how to go. So it was like the support was definitely there. And even the people, like I actually didn't think that many people would come, and not many people did, but I did have some friends that showed up. But I was like surprised at the sheer amount of people that watched it online. Like I went to school the next day, and there was like 5 people that referenced one of the jokes I did. And it was just crazy to think about. Like I have that many people that actually like supported me.
Nice.
So not even like during the speech, that obviously helped, but after as well, it gave me like the confidence boost. So it was nice.
I appreciate that kids your age know what it's about and know it enough to think like what a cool opportunity and support you that much. That would,
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know for me, I really didn't talk about it that much with my friends because I was like, oh, they're not going to be interested. They don't care. But then, of course, there was posts on Instagram and there was talk throughout the school about it. And so even though I never brought it up to them, I remember like the day of, they were like, oh, it's TEDx Day. And I was like, how do you know this? Like, what? How do you know that I'm speaking? And as soon as I finished my speech, I went backstage, I looked at my phone, and they were all had been online, and they're like, oh, that was so amazing. And it was like so nice to have that because I wasn't expecting that. And I wasn't really sharing this part with people, but to have them all like be there and support was really, really helpful.
Awesome. How about you, Owen?
Yeah, so I think my friends really did play a big role, honestly. Prior to the actual TED Talk, I was pretty self-conscious about sharing that I was doing a TED Talk and the actual topic of the TED Talk because I thought that it would bore the people I was telling them about, the people I was telling my TED Talk about, and they just wouldn't really understand. But actually the day of the TED Talk came, and I saw a bunch of my friends, filling the seats. And it was really kind of wholesome because I didn't know they cared about the TED Talk or me that much. But okay, obviously I thought they cared about me, but not in that sense,
Yeah.
And so seeing them there was really, really positive experience. And then afterwards, I got a bunch of congratulations texts and I'm proud of you texts. And that was really kind of a wholesome moment because I'd never really experienced that before with a speech and debate competition or anything else like that before.
Yeah. Here's my final question to you all. One to really think about. So your speech, I mean, I like watching TED Talks and TEDx Talks for the inspiration. Plus you find a lot of knowledgeable things, right? What I think from each one of you guys, I hear the key word is inspiration. I think probably that you guys gave, especially with today's generation and how far your speech can actually reach nowadays. Like, who is your ideal listener, right? Who is the person that, like, even though your friends came out and supported, your family came out and supportive, who is that person, that boy or girl, that will hear your speech and get inspired by it? Like, who is that person?
So I think my speech specifically had a pretty targeted audience in the sense that it was tailored to students who felt, overburdened with the pressures of college admissions and parents and peers, like I said, and they don't know how to sort of balance their time between doing those activities and living their life. And I think in a way, I'm sure other TED Talkers can attest to this, but I feel like all of our speeches, in a sense, were catered to people that were like us, like targeted to people that went through the things that we went through and experienced the things that we did. Because TED Talk is all about sharing your insights, telling your story, and telling people what you got from those experiences, what you learned from them. And I think, in a way, we see all these people, and in these people, we see ourselves. And we want to prevent them from making the same mistakes that we did, and hopefully make their lives better by using the experiences that we went through and the lessons we learned from them. So I think all of our TED Talks, in a way, are catered to the people who have the potential to go through the same thing that we did, or are going through the same thing that we did.
Nice.
That was beautiful. No, I completely agree. I definitely think that for my speech specifically, while it is very diverse and it could be for anybody, I feel like my main audience was student athletes, because especially knowing that I'm a student athlete, I know that you can't get enough sleep if you want to be like a serious student athlete and play in college. And I still don't understand how high Division I players, or any college players, for example, D3, D2, D1, I don't know how they manage all of their sports and all of their athletics along with getting enough sleep, because sometimes you have to focus on like one or two things you want to like become in life. So I truly think that my speech was tailored toward those student athletes, helping them get better sleep and helping them focus on the importance and especially strategies they can use to improve their sleep. So even if they're getting 6 hours of sleep, it's going to be the best 6 hours of sleep they get in their life using the strategies. So, yeah, I think that's definitely my target audience is the student athletes.
Nice.
I would say I was really hoping that everybody would take something away from it. But the target audience for me, I think, was definitely like the medical community. So I was hoping that possibly there were some parents out there who were doctors or therapists, and that they could take this insight and implement it into the workforce. Because as much as I wanted to bring awareness to eating disorders, I also really think that this screening would be really beneficial to have. And so to actually have it implemented was what I really was hoping for. And so I wanted to reach the medical
Your job's
field.
not done yet.
Well, it actually wonderfully, I reached a medical task force in Missouri, and they were able to hear my speech. So
Nice.
it's in the workings.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, that is so fantastic. I love that.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you guys were able to come and share your experiences with how this TEDx went. And to all of our TEDx speakers, we're super proud of all of you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are inspiring, and you're representing your class very well. And we're super proud of you here on the bridge. We're glad you guys came out and joined us today. For all of our listeners, we want to thank you guys for listening, as always. And until next time, you guys take care.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.